Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast with myself, Tom Rust. And today, absolutely delighted to be joined by the most popular man in Essex, the leader of the Romford Bull Army, Big John Fisher. How you doing, John?
Yeah, not too bad. I've never been called the most popular man in Essex before, but I'll take it. Thank you very much.
I think that'd give Eddie Hearn the ump, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I think the only thing give Eddie Hearn the ump if he's not earning money, so he's all right.
Nice one. Well, Happy New Year to you and your family.
Yeah, thank you. Same to you. Thank you very much.
No, you're very welcome. I don't know when to stop saying Happy New Year, but until I'm shut down, I'll carry on. Mate, we're obviously only early into January. You know, the last 12 months has been significant for Johnny, yourself, and your family. When you look back over the last 12 months, how do you reflect, and can you really just put that in words for us?
To be honest with you, as regards Johnny, amazing, really. You know, four fights, 4 stoppages, 4 good wins. First couple, obviously, behind closed doors. Then, obviously, fight camp, which was great. And then, obviously, the last one at the O2, which was unreal. You know, that just the amount of support that was shown towards him and towards all of us really was unbelievable. Something I'll never, ever forget.
Yeah, no, absolutely incredible. 4 wins, some big knockouts along the way. When you see your son, you know, walk out there and you've got thousands of people, you know, cheering him on, it must be an incredible feeling.
It was unreal. That, like the O2, after you meet people now, I went and sat in my seats, kept myself to myself with my wife, and just like every time we come on the screen, people were cheering, and I turned to my wife and said, "That's for our son." And it's so surreal. It's just unbelievable. You know, it's so good how people are getting behind him. So long may it continue. But it is a very surreal feeling. Very surreal.
Yeah, it must be incredible for most people. You know, we sit at home or we go to these, you know, events and we watch fighters. But for yourself, you know, being, you know, it's your son that's actually going out there. I suppose it must be a surreal feeling for you and the family.
Totally. And as I say, I was speaking to someone today. In Upminster, and unless your son is a boxer or your daughter's a boxer or your brother or the nerves are terrible. You know, everyone must go through it, you know, because everyone's expecting, oh, Johnny's going to go and win, he's going to go and do this, but it's not the case. It's boxing, especially heavyweight boxing. Anything can happen. So although you're enjoying that moment, it's you can't really enjoy it until it's all finished, to be truthful.
Yeah, that's it. Like you say, there's some big people in the division, and I suppose you're right. You know, the objective is to, you know, knock your opponent unconscious. There's no 2 ways about it. But looking at the last year as well, how impressive have you been with Matrum and the link up there, and with Eddie Hearn and Matrum?
Impressed with Matrum. Listen, first of all, big thank you to Sam Jones. He was the first one that got Johnny on this road, and then obviously Adam Morley with S-Jam. And then for them to get him involved with Matrum was just like the icing on the cake. Couldn't really believe it, to be truthful with you. But, you know, I think Matrum can see they can relate to Johnny. He's from Romford. Obviously, the snooker halls and everything started in Romford. So it's gone full circle for definitely Barry Hearn, you know, and obviously now Eddie Hearn as well. So it's just great. But all at Matrum, they're like a family, Matrum. You know, they're not the biggest organisation in the world as regards to staff, but they're all like a family. Really, they took us in really well, so nothing but praise. And when Eddie kept the show on at the O2 after Dillian White pulled out, you know, that was brilliant. So fair play to them.
Yeah, what did you think when Johnny put his name out there to fight in the you know, the main event?
He definitely would have done it because he sold so many tickets. He didn't want to let people down. He's a realist, Johnny. He knows that Otto Wallin's a couple of levels above him. But Johnny would have given it a good go, and he you know, in his mind, he thinks he probably could have won. But obviously, if you've got your head screwed on right, it wouldn't be the right fight for Johnny at that moment in time. But he was so desperate to fight in front of all them fans that he would have 100% would have done it.
And just going back to Sam Jones as well, it's an incredible story how they sort of linked up. Am I right in saying that he put something out on his Instagram about he was looking for sparring partners for Joyce at the time, and obviously Johnny put his name forward?
Yeah, Johnny's got a history degree, and he was, I think, in his 2nd year, and he was in the library, and he followed Sam Jones on Instagram, and Sam said, "I need sparring partners for Joe Joyce." And Johnny's always looked up to Joe Joyce. We all have. We've all always followed his career, and we've always you know, respected him for what he's done. And Johnny thought, yeah, I'll have a go at that. He was back in amateur boxing at the time, boxing for the university. And fair play to Sam Jones. Johnny messaged him, a total unknown, total rank novice. And Sam Jones said, come down and see what you can do. So it's amazing how things happen. And Johnny went down, gave a good account of himself as well as he could at that stage of his career. And they asked him back, and the rest is history. Took him to Las Vegas. And, you know, Johnny and Joe are great mates now as well, which is good to see.
Yeah, no, it's been an incredible journey, obviously, for your boy over the last year, and the stories that are all coming out now because of his success. But something that a lot of people say when I talk to them about, you know, Johnny, is how grounded he is, even though that he's doing incredibly well, 4 wins, you know, 4 some big knockouts. It's almost like, though, even though he's done that, I've heard him say a few times that, you know, he still hasn't done anything. He still just wants to learn, improve. And I suppose sparring with the likes of Joyce is only going to be an invaluable lesson in time.
Listen, Johnny will always keep his feet on the ground no matter what he does. If he was British champion, he'd still say, I've done nothing. But he has done nothing. You know, he's being honest. He's had 4 fights, 4 good wins. But in the sport of boxing, there's a lot of people better than him. So he knows that. You keep your feet on the ground. If you don't keep your feet on the ground, that's when you can slip up. And as regards Joe, you know, when you spar with people like Joe, you've only got to learn. He had a week or so with Tyson Fury sparring, and that was just brilliant. You know, it just lifted him to another level because he said Tyson gave him such a lot of time. And when you're in with the best, one of the best that's ever been, you know, not doing anything but holding your own for certain parts, it can only make you feel better.
And I noticed he follows you on Instagram as well. Well, Tyson Fury.
Yeah. I was amazed. I went to watch a Sky show, and Johnny was in the front, like in the ring sides, and thankfully I said, look, do you want to come round and sit with them? And I sat behind, and Tyson was a few seats away in front. He turned around, saw me, got up out of his chair, come and gave me a big cuddle and a big like hug, and said, I love watching your videos on TikTok. We're big fans of yours, and I love your son. And it's just so good of him to say that, you know. And it's just, he's such a humble man, you know. Heavyweight champion of the world coming up to me, it's just unbelievable.
I suppose it just highlights the point, really, you know, as we're talking about Johnny, incredible journey so far, but he's staying grounded. But when you've got arguably one of the best fighters ever, you know, grounded, he's humble, like you say, coming up to you, he doesn't have to do things like that. It just shows you when you keep your feet on the ground. And I think Johnny said on a number of occasions as well, if he does get a little bit too sort of leery maybe, or you'll soon be there to tell him where he's going wrong, or to you know, get his feet back on the ground anyway.
Listen, we're his biggest fans, but we're his biggest critics. You know, we're a close-knit family, but Johnny's also got a lot of good friends as well. If he ever got above himself, they'd be quick to tell him, you know. So, but, you know, we'll be the first to tell him anyway. So he knows he can't be doing none of that. But it's not in his nature. He wouldn't be doing that. So thankfully, his feet on the ground at all times.
I was going to say as well, we had Mark Tibbs on the channel a couple of months ago, and he was talking about you know, Johnny and his willingness to learn. He's, you know, like a sponge, and, you know, just wants, you know, soak everything up. And obviously around some good guys in the gym as well. And he said that, you know, with the right guidance, taking the right fights at the right time, he believes he can go all the way. And just wanted to get your reaction to that. I'm sure you've heard that before. So, you know, you're probably in contact quite often. But when you've got one of the best in the business saying things like that, it must be an incredible thing to hear.
Listen, with Mark Tibbs, you don't only get Mark, you get his dad, Jimmy, you know, and they're two of like the best trainers this country's ever seen. And their knowledge and what they can pass on to a young boxer like Johnny is invaluable. And not only that, Mark is a great man to have around, you know, the stories he tells. And his dad, Jimmy, you know, he comes from the same areas where my dad sort of grew up, and we're cut from the same sort of cloth. So it's great to have that close-knit bond when you're, you know, in such a sport like boxing. But to have Mark and Jimmy Tibbs in your corner for Johnny is unbelievable. And he's so grateful that he's got them.
What does a sort of a stereotypical look like for Johnny then when he's preparing for a fight, like in terms of training?
What, a day? Did you say a day or a week? Sorry,
a day. Sorry,
a day. Well, when he's training, it'll either either consist of like pad work and S&C, and then like running in the night time, a bit of swimming, or he might have a day where he's doing sparring. You know, obviously, the closer you get to the fight, the heavier the sparring becomes, and that takes quite a lot out of you. You could do 10, 12 rounds. But it's just training twice a day, basically, and eating and sleeping. So it's not a bad life, but it's a hard life.
Yeah, I was gonna. We can't do an interview with you without coming on to food. I was gonna ask you, next time I'm in Romford. Obviously, it's gonna be a Chinese, but I was gonna ask you, where to go and what are we ordering?
Listen, I think it's highlighted. Our local is the Blue Orchid. Used to go to my wife when we was going out with each other when we was 18 and 17, and we're still going there now. And it's still the same family. And you've got to have if you got the Blue Orchid in Romford, you've got to have a B2. You get your mixed hors d'oeuvres, you get your duck, you get all your starters, you get spare ribs, and then you get all your mains. So by the time your mains come up, you're stuffed. And then after your mains, you've got banana, apple fritters, and coffee. So it is an event. You're sitting there for about 3 hours eating. So it is a lovely restaurant, one of the best you'll ever sit in, and it's such a humble, nice, family-run restaurant. So if anyone's in Romford area, give the Blue Orchid a try.
Yeah, so you don't leave there hungry then?
No, definitely not. Trust me, you don't leave anywhere around here hungry. That's for sure. And
have we got an opponent? I know I've looked on Johnny's box Rex today, and it's to be confirmed. Are they any closer to announcing his opponent?
I think it's Matrum send through to S-Jam, and I think Shane Watson's looking at a few opponents today, and then they'll send them to Johnny, and Johnny sends them to Mark, and Mark will have the final say as always because he's the coach. But as you say, Johnny will fight anyone, but it's got to be the right opponent. You don't want to have a walkover, but you want to be tested. But obviously, don't want to be tested too hard when you're still learning the trade yourself. So it's got to be the right mix. And so far, the 4 opponents I think have been perfect, really, because they've each stepped up every time and brought something new out of Johnny. So that's what you want.
So about taking the right fights at the right time.
Yes, definitely, 100%.
And looking at the heavyweight division, absolutely, on fire at the moment. What do you make of the Fury White sort of situation with the split? Are you following that quite closely?
I'll follow it closely, but not too closely because there's a lot of politics involved in boxing, especially at the higher echelons. I hope Dillian gets a shot because I think he deserves it. He's never ducked anyone and he puts himself in there and he puts on a show. But obviously, if he's going to fight for the world heavyweight title, he wants to be rewarded for it. And 80-20 might be a bit tough on him, but then again, 20% of 100 million is better than 100% of nothing, I suppose. So, hopefully common sense will prevail and hopefully them two will get it on. Or, if not, hopefully Fury can fight Usyk. So there's just, but there's a lot of palpitations at the moment. You've got AJ still in the mix, you've got Usyk, you've got White, you've got Fury. So it's really, really exciting at the moment. So let's just see what unravels. But we all want to see as fans, we want to see the best fight each other. That was why it was so good when Fury boxed Wilder. 3 terrific fights, and that's what you want to see, the best fighting the best.
And what about you mentioned that AJ Usyk getting on again? How do you see that fight going?
Well, I know AJ, he's a terrific champion. What he's done has been amazing sport of boxing. But me personally, for what it's worth, not that I know a lot about boxing, I think he's got to try and bully Usyk, use his strength, use his power, because he knows if he catches anyone, he can knock anyone out. I don't think, for me, the right tactics are to try and outbox Usyk because I don't think he'll be able to do that. But AJ knows what he's doing. He obviously come unstuck in the first fight, but he might have learned from that for the second fight. So let's hope he can, get the belts back. Yeah,
I feel like the general feeling amongst fans is that he needs to do what you've just mentioned there. But I suppose when you're in with someone like Usyk, who's such a great mover, technically brilliant, one of the best ever, probably easier said than done to go in there and reclaim.
It's easier said than done, but when you're Anthony Joshua, 2-time world heavyweight champion, who can knock anyone out, it's a lot easier for him to do it than me or you to do it, if you know what I mean. And Chisora gave him quite a fight, and I think if AJ pressured him, put him under a lot of pressure, then it'd make life a whole lot, harder for Usyk. But as you say, Usyk's a great man, a great champion, but I'd just like to see AJ be a little bit more aggressive. That's all. But that's my opinion. He knows a lot more about himself and boxing than me, so he'll do what he needs to do.
Of course, I think that's why, you know, it's such an intriguing fight, you know, and we can't wait to see it again. Just want to ask you as well, John. You know, I know I said before you came on, I appreciate your time. I know you're an incredibly busy man, selling tickets, leader of the Romford Bull Army, and you know, you've obviously got Johnny, you've got other children as well. What do you do for, you know, away from boxing? What do you enjoy doing?
That's a question. We've got, apart from eating, I never used to be this big, by the way. It's stress and strains of life. So, and ferrying my kids about everywhere, football, hockey, netball. That's what I do. I'm a taxi driver, an unpaid taxi driver, but I enjoy doing it. I love taking my children. I've got 4 children, and they're all into sport. So that's what I spend my life doing. When I'm not at work, I spend my life, along with my wife, we take our children everywhere. So, you know, one day, hopefully they'll thank me for it. But we've also got 3 dogs. I do like taking my dogs out with us. We go for long walks, and that's what I do to relax. I like taking the dog for a long walk. So that's my way of relaxing. Yeah,
no, obviously I follow you quite closely for obvious reasons. And yeah, you're at football, boxing, hockey, netball. You're all over the place. So, you know, you're a busy working man as well. And of course, we know behind every great man is a great woman. So I imagine your wife is equally working as hard to make sure everything's possible for you.
Hopefully she won't see this, or she probably will. No, she's a good mum. She's a good wife. We couldn't ask for no better. She does a lot for the children. She does a lot for Johnny. And, you know, without her, this house or family wouldn't function. That's without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow.
Definitely a team effort.
Yes, definitely. It's got to be. We have our ups and downs. We have our arguments. We have our fallouts, but that's like any family. That's part of the course.
Yeah, of course, it's not always plain sailing. But listen, John, I appreciate you jumping on tonight. Hopefully it's the first of many. I know I've been pestering you for a little while, so I apologise for that. I
apologise. I get on before, but all good things come to those who wait, don't it? So better late than never.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry. I know you had. I think you said you had Matrum round last night, so I suppose I'll let you off for that, not doing it last night. If you can, I think the only way really to finish the interview off would be one of your famous boshes, if you don't mind.
Yeah, not at all. Have a good night, everybody.
Top man.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, John. I really appreciate your time.
Take care. Bye-bye.